See Indian Express news articles related to 26th June 2022. First article is on Enforcement Directorate radar. Those who protested preferred remark Agnipath scheme. Enforcement Directorate has sought documents and case papers from UP police to examine if it can proceed against the accused under provision of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. It is similarly examining the role of coaching center in Bihar in fueling protest against the Agnipath scheme. Next article, the continuation of the article is all about. We are examining both the cases from money laundering perspective. In the protest over profit remarks, we have learned there is involvement of a certain organization which was been aggressively active in engineering protest against the government on Islamic issues. This is already under probe. In Bihar, the official said Enforcement Directorate is looking at the alleged role of coaching centers during Agnipath protest. If we find the evidence of them having funded these protests, we will proceed against them under PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Next article that we are moving into is related to new headache for cops, cyber criminals buying personal data in bulk. There are some of the bulk messages received on thousands of phones every day sent by fraudsters waiting for the people to click on phishing links and share personal data. But what we have exacerbated the headache for the law enforcement agencies of the late is the proliferation of websites that sell names and numbers of people in bulk. Senior Delhi police officer told the Indian Express officers added that scamsters have become proficient in creating lookalike website of bank telecom providers a brand to steal the information and siphon money anywhere between a few thousand to several lakhs from vulnerable people. Continuation of the article, cybercrime is sending such messages every day and inducing people to visit the fake websites on the pretext of updating know your customer. Once a person would part in the personal details online, money would soon disappear from their account. Procuring data of the victims is the key of the operation. An ACP level officer said the accused bought from website where the personal data of lakhs of people is sold in bulk as little as 600 or up to 7,000. Sunday Express logged into some of these websites and found how easily one can buy data, names, phone number and even addresses. The data is differentiated into different categories for marketing purposes. Categories include students seeking jobs, senior citizens, doctor in Delhi, car owners in Delhi, making it easier for fraudsters to zero on their target. There are no laws protecting the selling of general data. Many brands want their target audience need such data, as there are a lot of companies who sell data, so they purchase data from each other whichever is required. However, the original data is unknown. For Sinde, a road to climb Sena symbol may not be easy. Election symbols, Reservation and Allotment Order 1968 deal with the poll body's power to recognize parties and allot symbols when the question of a split in political party arises outside the legislature. Paragraph 15 of the Symbols Order 1968 states, when the Commission is satisfied that there are rival sections or group of recognized political parties, each of whom claims to be that party, the Commission may, after taking into account all the available facts and circumstances of the case, hearing their representatives. Is the same. Let us continue this article here. As the desire to be heard, decide one such rival sections or group or none of such rival sections or groups is that recognized political party, and the decision of the Commission should be binding on all such rival sections or groups. When the dispute arises, EC Election Commission first examines the support each faction enjoys both within the organization and legislature wing. Then it identifies the top committee and the decision making body and proceeds to know how many of its members are office bearers backing with factions. It also counts the number of lawmakers and legislatures. This applies to disputes in recognized national and state parties. For split in registered and unregistered unrecognized parties, the Election Commission usually advises the varying faction to resolve the differences internally or approach the court. G7 summit talks on key issues on Modi's Germany itinerary ahead of departure to Germany for a G7 summit. Modi on Saturday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday, he will exchange views the leaders of groupings and its partner countries on issues such as energy, food security, counterterrorism, environment, and democracy. In an effort to strengthen the international collaboration on important global issues impacting humanity, Germany has also invited other democracies such as Argentina, Indonesia, Senegal, South Africa to G7 summit. From Germany, Modi will go to UAE on June 28. Next article that we are moving into is related to penny wise, security foolish. Next article talks about the scheme called Agnipath is simple, in fact so simple. 46,000 soldiers will be recruited every year to 3 defense forces. They will be trained for 6 months and deployed for 42 months. At the end of 48 months, one fourth will be retained to serve another 11 to 13 years, and the rest will be discharged with a severance payment of 11,67,000. There will be no guarantee of a job or no pension gratuity, and no medical or benefits. Act first, think later. The negatives of the scheme were glaring and obvious. It is a fair assumption that the idea be imposed from the very top. The past examples include demonetization, Rafale deal, amendment of LA land acquisition law, and 3 farm laws. Predictably, there are several protests, mostly by young people who had trained and prepared for regular recruitment to defenses, and that has been deferred from more than one due to the pandemic. Many of them would have crossed the age of 21, fixed under Agnipath. The day after the protest broke out, the government began announcing piecemeal changes and shamelessly called the changes pre-planned. Nothing in the changes addressed the fundamental objection to Agnipath. First is the timing. Security situations on the entire border is extremely precarious, and there is no end to incursion by China, infiltration by Pakistan. One should fix the roof when sun is shining and not when the rain is pouring. Secondly, the Agnivees will poorly trained and cannot be deployed on front lines. Admiral has pointed out that normal recruit is trained for 5 to 6 years. Besides, Navy and Air Force are increasingly technology driven, and no sailor or airman can be trained in 6 months. Thirdly, defense officers have pointed out that fighting soldiers must take pride in his unit, not be risk averse, and be capable of exhibiting their leadership in the crisis situation. No human resource textbooks teaches us such a quality to be imbibed in 6 months of training. Fourthly, there is a tradition ethos in the defense forces, especially in the army. A soldier must be ready to die for his country and his comrades. The regimental system may be archaic, but it made the Indian Army best fighting forces in the world. During the 4-year tour of duty, Agnivees know that at the end of the tenure, 75% of them will be unhappy ex-soldiers without the status of ex-servicemen and financially insecure. Will there be camaraderie or rivalry among the soldiers during the 4 years? How can expect such soldiers to make supreme sacrifice if necessary? Fifthly, imagine the consequence of sacrificing quality, efficiency, effectiveness for the sake of the economy. The bargaining pension bill is indeed a problem, but there is no evidence that alternative models were examined. The argument that Agnipath model has been tried and tested in Israel is puerile. Israel has had a small population, practice no unemployment, and mandatory military service for the youth. Why the Agnipath were introduced as a pilot and tested before making it a universal and only mode of recruitment to 3 services. A contractual force, whether ill-trained, poorly motivated, or largely contractual defense force, will not seriously impair the security of the country. 10% reservation in CAPF and defense establishment and CPUSU for discharge Agnivees is no answer. According to DG, as against the present reservation of 10 to 14.5% in Group C post and 10 to 24.5% in Group D post for ex-servicemen, the actual percentage employed was 1.29 in Group C. Publish a status paper, list the issues seeking the alternative solution, discuss the matters in the Parliamentary Standing Committee, holds a debate on Parliament, and frame a law scheme. Next article that we are moving into is related to RBI ICE BNPL norms to rope in fintechs. The customer who holds BNPL card or account can make a purchase at a participating retail and opt for buy now pay later option. After the purchase, the customer can repay the BNPL firm in a series of interest-free IMI. Unlike credit cards which carry a high interest rate of 42% spread over 3 months or a lump sum amount, if it remains unpaid, the interest will be charged. BNPL company will pay the merchants immediately. However, for the purchase of rupees 500, instead of settling the full 500, they would pay something like 470, 450, the packet difference. The merchant agrees to give a discount to the BNPL firm. Bank now pay by non-bank curbs after slapping curbs on non-bank buy now pay later companies. The RBI is likely to come out with the guidelines for BNPL segment, which was using the prepaid instrument to extend the short-term and interest-free loan to customer for online purchase. The central bank said in its Payment Vision 2025 document, RBI last week communicated non-bank PPI issuers or BNPL companies to stop issuing where the funds are loaded through the credit line of NBFCs. According to bank observers, RBI Reserve Bank is not happy with the fintech companies using PPI as a credit instrument, circumventing the regulatory oversight. UPI and net banking it has remained outside the direct RBI regulation. BNPL is the India's fastest growing online payment method with a significant impact on the bank's largest merchants and card schemes due to its hassle-free onboarding experience, expansion of credit facility, low cost structures for customers, and facilitating easy repayment. And BNPL is growing popular among the young income earners. Next article talks about to recoup payment for GST dues not for compensation cess levy till March 2026. Let us see this article in the next video. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. If you have any doubt, please let me know in the comment section. I will free to answer all your queries in the comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day.